The Big Whack presents Buffalo on the Rise, sponsored by Dr. Kaplansky Dental Implants. Get new permanent teeth in 24 hours with our exclusive Teeth Now process. Welcome to the television show devoted to local business, Buffalo on the Rise, with your host, Joe Chili. There's an entrepreneurial spirit in Western New York that's putting our area on the cusp of greatness. Each week, Buffalo on the Rise features local business leaders and decision makers who are shaping our future. If it's about local business, we'll talk about it right here, right now, during Buffalo on the Rise.
I'm Joe Chili. On this edition of The Big Whack presents Buffalo on the Rise, we want you to put on your best smile. Dr. Kaplansky is back with the latest on his unique dental procedures to save you time and money. Do you own a business but are having trouble handling payroll? Find out how one local company can help make dollars and cents for you. Then it's a national landmark, Forest Lawn Cemetery. Find out about tours of this historic destination with information about pre-planning you and your family should consider. All on this edition of The Big Whack presents Buffalo on the Rise. I'm Joe Chili. You can listen to me mornings on The Big Whack. Joining us today on The Big Whack's Buffalo on the Rise is Dr. Kaplansky. Doctor, I look at some of the certifications here. I look after your name and it looks like the alphabet, you know, with all the different things. Sure. But board certified in implant dentistry, diplomat of the American Board of Oral Implantology. What is it to be a diplomat? What does that exactly mean?
It was a lot of hard work, Joe. So to get to that point, yes, absolutely. So to become a diplomat of the board, you have to not only perform thousands of implant surgeries, you have to take countless hours of continuing education. You have to pass a rigorous 3-hour written test, and you have to present 7 cases, I believe, your 7 surgeries to the board and defend them in front of people. So it's an oral exam that you have to take.
It's a little bit too much of an examination, I think, for me, but and I'm sure all of these things are costly as well. It's something that you have to prepare for.
I will tell you the most cost is the cost of what we would call being away from the family, being away from the office. That's where the most, because you have to attend these meetings, you have to go to classes, you have to travel a lot. But I have absolutely no regret. It was a fantastic process, and it gives you a sense of accomplishment that nothing else would.
And you have another family member that is probably going to go into dentistry, right, in school right now.
My son is a D3 in dental school in Buffalo, and I'm very proud of him.
Yeah, and that's something to be proud of, because not everybody wants to go into the family profession, if you will. You know, Doctor, there's so many different things and different firms and different kinds of individuals that are talking about dentistry, and national firms too. You know, when you see for me, when I see something come in, like a national firm, I think of it in terms of, like, Buffalo is known for its hole-in-the-wall restaurants, right. The small restaurants that make it unique, you know what I mean? Right. Not the big national firms, you know, you can get those anywhere. And I kind of think it must be the same way with dentistry.
It's a great comparison. So the movement in dentistry is consolidation, so a lot of offices are very corporate right now. We have remained privately owned. It's my private business, and we are very proud of it. And it separates us from the rest because the quality of the work is higher, the attention to detail is better, and patients in general are happier because they see the same provider every time they come. They bond to us, we have a relationship with them, and they feel like family when they come in.
How many implant surgeries do you think you've done?
We do on average about between 800 and 1,000 implants every year.
Really?
Yes.
800 and 1,000. And these individuals come back to you so that you can check to make sure everything is going well?
Yes, we encourage patients to do that every 4 to 6 months. Absolutely.
What, to the average viewer right now, that is dealing with dentures or has dealt with dentures in the past, that has broken teeth, that have had an accident, that have gum disease or whatever it might be, what's their first step?
Very easy, just pick up the phone or send us an email from our website. And the first step usually is a consultation. They come in and they talk to our implant coordinator. We do either a 3D scan, that's a CAT scan, at no charge to the patient, or we take a panoramic x-ray, again, at no charge to the patient. And they get to sit down and talk with implant coordinator and me. Sometimes that consultation lasts for an hour or longer. And we spend all the time with them to pretty much explain all their options, go over what the process would be to do the treatment, and they leave with a very good knowledge and understanding of what to expect. But that's their first step, right? And then usually after the initial consultation, we schedule what's called a records appointment. That's when they come in and we take photographs, we take digital scans of their mouth, of their face. All that gets digitized in the computer, and then we use that to build up their digital sort of a case virtually, and then that goes into surgery.
And this is an evolving process that you're doing, right? The Teeth Now process isn't just something that's stoic, it's fluid, right?
No, absolutely. So the Teeth Now process means that they get their permanent, meaning non-removable teeth within 24 hours of a surgery. Then they go through the healing, and then they get their final or permanent appliance, usually about 5 months after the initial procedure. But they have fixed teeth throughout the entire time. So the process is evolving. There's constantly updates on digital technology out there, and we are right at the cutting edge of all new and digital technologies out there. So we incorporate them into our process constantly.
The other thing I have to say that is very impressive to me, not only all the certifications that you have, but when I look you up online, to see the positive testimonials from people, even down to the fact of saying that you're very affable, you're very nice, you're a great guy. I mean, when they talk about these things, it's more than just what you do professionally, it's how you treat them personally.
Thank you, Joe. It's really humbling to see how many of our patients say good things about us. And we work hard. It's not just me, it's the entire office, my entire team. So all my assistants and hygienists and office staff, we all work towards the same goal, and it is to make patients happy.
And if people are told they're not a candidate for implants, you can tell them maybe differently that they may still be a candidate, correct?
Absolutely. So there's still a small percentage that may not qualify, but most of the time we say, yes, you are a candidate.
Well, that's great. I mean, I think to me, it sounds like it's a simplified process. It is something, when I hear implants, kind of scares me a little bit, but your process seems to be something that I would be agreeable to. So I think that it's something that you've done very well, and I compliment you on that.
Thank you, sir. I appreciate it.
For more information and answers to your questions, contact Dentistry by Dr. Kaplansky by calling 716-772-7500 or go to drkaplansky.com. Promotional and sponsorship consideration provided by the following. Hi, I'm Joe Chili, mornings 7 to 9 on Buffalo's oldie station, The Big Weck. Joining us on The Big Weck's Buffalo on the Rise today is Tracy Kachka, who is the COO of Payroll Processing. I got your name right, huh?
Thanks for having me.
Yeah, we're glad to have you here today. And especially glad to have you here because you handle Weck's payroll.
Yes, we do.
So if anything goes wrong, I don't get paid. So that's like. Now, is this something? How did you get into this? Is this a family business?
It is a family business. Almost 40 years ago, my dad started this right from scratch. I grew up in the office, filing, answering phones, printing payrolls, and here I am today.
Is payroll? I mean, multiplication tables confuse me, I think, or did as I was younger. But is payroll really, it's got to be a difficult thing to do. I'm also, for the average individual, plus, there's so many records that you have to keep, and you can be penalized if you don't, right?
Yep, and the laws are constantly changing with New York State, the IRS. We take care of all of that for you.
That's amazing. And at the end of the year, it's funny because I used to get, when you were in radio or something like that, you get tickets to something. Oh, we're going to sponsor such and such a show. Here's tickets. And of course, you'll get, is it a W-2 or something at the end of the year? Everything is kind of labeled now, right? Or
correct. And your W-2s with us are included in all of our fees. We take care of all that for you. Your quarterlies, file your taxes with the IRS and the state, file your W-2 so that all gets reported. And you as a client don't have to worry about any of that.
And is it reasonable to do something like that rather than to pay an individual to have to do it on staff, to handle that?
I think so, just because of the changing laws. It's constantly changing. It's too much for people to keep up on.
How many clients do you have?
800 in the area, over 800, in and out of the area.
Really? Okay, so you mean in and out of the area, but you
The majority is in New York, but we do payroll in Florida, Pennsylvania, a couple other states.
What about contracts, setup fees?
No contracts, no setup fees. We have a few sheets of paper you need to fill out based on your company information, your employees' information, and that's it. We go from there.
Now, are there specific things? I guess the way I look at it is there a menu, that they choose from, or is it set up the same thing for everybody?
It's not the same for everyone. If you still want to pay your taxes yourself, your payroll taxes, you're certainly able to do that. If you want live checks and some employees want direct deposit, you can do half and half. It's not all for one.
That's an interesting thing for me because, it may be payroll deduction, but you still get a paper check that's non-negotiable.
Right.
Right. And I guess the reason for that is so you can see what all your deductions are, things like that. Is
correct. And by law, you have to supply that,
you do?
Stub to your employee, whether it's a paper stub or an online lookup, but they do have to have that stub.
What about the end of the year? I mean, if you're doing work for other different companies, other different venues, and it says you're supposed to have your W-4s or
yes.
whatever, W-4s, by by such and such a date. It just seems to me that things flow in, not from you guys, but from other people after that date.
Right.
And is there something, can you be penalized for that? I mean, or is it something that you pay attention to because it really keeps an individual from filing their income tax, right? They have to wait.
Right. So we try, we're on top of our clients. We're always sending notices out and flyers, emails, that kind of thing to make sure everyone's on time with everything that they need to be on time with.
Is there one person that usually contacted a company that you work with, or do you work with multiple people?
Multiple people.
Do you really?
Mm-hmm.
And any idea, like, you say 800 clients, but, how big some of the companies are?
Our clients go from 1 employee, and our largest client has over 1,000 employees. And we run their checks weekly, those 1,000 checks.
So how many people are employed at payroll processing?
We have 10.
10 people, and you're doing all of this?
Correct.
And do you really perspire if computers go down?
Yeah. You don't want your internet to go out.
Your internet goes out.
You lose some time.
You're in bad shape. Well, the thing is, even when we have things like COVID, we have snowstorms, we have things like this, people count on those checks.
Yep, which is why we're rarely closed in those circumstances.
Really?
Yes.
So
people need to get paid.
I wonder why you had that note on your back that said emergency personnel.
Yeah, exactly.
That's the exact reason.
Exactly.
You partner with local agencies. You do things like, I'm assuming now, workers' comp, disability,
Yes.
Paid family leave.
Mm-hmm. The paid family leave is all a part of the payroll tax deduction. The workers' comp insurance, we outsource that to other local agencies.
Is paid family leave a big thing?
It was in the beginning when the new law came out, but you roll with it.
Really?
Yep, that's all part of the payroll taxes now.
Okay, now you've got to look me straight in the eye. Do you enjoy your job?
I do.
Okay, all right.
Never bored.
I'm sure it's never boring. That's really great. All right, so if people want to find out more information about you, we're going to give some information, but we really appreciate you being here
Thank you very
today
much.
and talking to us all about this because it's something that we don't really think about. As your commercial says, this industry does this does this, but we don't do payroll.
Correct.
Right? And
Yeah.
that's, thank goodness for you.
Exactly.
And thank you very much, Tracy, for being here. We
Thanks for
appreciate
having
it.
me.
For more information and answers to your questions, contact Payroll Processing by calling 716-668-5200 or go to payproc.net. Sponsorship and promotional considerations for the preceding segment was provided by the following. Hi, I'm Joe Chili, mornings 7 to 9 at Buffalo's oldie station, The Big Weck. Joining us on The Big Weck's Buffalo on the Rise today is Julie Snyder, the CEO of Forest Lawn Cemetery Group. Hi, how are you today?
I'm doing great, Joe. It's great to see you.
It's great to see you again, too. You know, we want to talk about some of the great things. I think that people sometimes don't think about, you know, the heritage there at Forest Lawn and what Forest Lawn really is. You know, they think in terms of, you know, it's a cemetery, but it's so much more. And I think that one of the things, you know, you've got an anniversary, I guess that's the way to put it, right? An anniversary celebration that's coming up too, right?
That's correct. So Forest Lawn is getting ready to begin our 175th year, founded in 1849. And you're right, people think of us as a cemetery, and we still are an active cemetery, plenty of room, but we also are a cultural landmark for our community. We have a really deep history, very robust tours, and just incredible art and architecture within those 269 acres in Buffalo.
269 acres. You know, one of the things you mentioned, we still have room. Is this a problem with cemeteries across the country now? They're running out of room?
Well, we are one of really 10 rural cemeteries that were founded between 175 and 185 years ago. And so a lot of people think about Forest Lawn and they're worried, are you sold out? And so I always make sure people know we do have plenty of room. But some cemeteries are full and they become more museums.
Oh, is that true? I never thought of it that way. But I can understand the whole museum standpoint because you have some famous people that are buried at Forest Lawn.
We certainly do. We have Millard Fillmore, President of the United States. We have many former members of Congress, including Shirley Chisholm. We have virtually all of the leaders of business and industry who really helped build Buffalo are buried at Forest Lawn. And famous people in the media, Stan Lipsey, former publisher of the Buffalo News, is buried at Forest Lawn. So we are a very inclusive cemetery, but there certainly are names that if you're from Western New York, you will certainly recognize if you visit Forest Lawn.
That's interesting. Are there different sections of the cemetery based on some of the people's history or notoriety?
Not based on history or notoriety, but cemeteries are laid out really quite thoughtfully to allow for the location of graves and for rows of graves and rows of headstones. And sometimes things move around a bit and people have very large monuments, but we have really an all-inclusive cemetery. We have a few sections at Forest Lawn that were sort of co-founded with local temples. And so those sections are for people that practice the Jewish faith. But from its founding, Forest Lawn was really an all-inclusive cemetery and remains to this day.
With summer here, are there special tours or events going on at Forest Lawn in the summer?
That's a great question, Joe. And actually, we were voted the best tour, the best of 716 as the best tour in Buffalo. And our trolley tours, our walking tours, our bird watching tours, nature walks, they are all really part of great offerings. So we want people to come to the cemetery, not just at a time of loss or sadness, but to really experience the acres and the landscapes that make up Forest Lawn.
You know, Julie, you've been CEO for 10 months. How do you prepare? I mean, you know, it's like, do you go from different, different positions, and how do you prepare for being the CEO of Forest Lawn Cemetery Group?
So there are certainly people, it's called the death care industry, and I came from healthcare, so there are quite a lot of jokes about going from cradle to grave that I've heard in the last 10 months. I would say that the best preparation is anyone who has a background or a desire to be of service to others. And that's really what our incredible team does every day, whether they're working the grounds or working with a family, making arrangements for an immediate need, or even making plans for future needs. So very much service oriented.
You know, you advertise in WECK as well, and you say, come home to Forest Lawn.
Yes.
What's the inspiration for that?
So Come Home to Forest Lawn is really an open invitation for people in Western New York to know that they can come and visit Forest Lawn at any time. But it certainly also has ties to someone at their time of passing. In some faith traditions, when someone dies, it is a homecoming. So we really wanted people to know that they can and should start planning today and thinking about what they want their final homecoming to be. And of course, now that I'm at Forest Lawn, I understand why 170,000 people are buried at Forest Lawn.
That's incredible. We talked about Forest Lawn Cemetery Group. We have about a minute left. Can you tell us about the other cemeteries in the group?
So there are 13 other cemeteries, and they're all over Erie County. Williamsville Cemetery, St. Matthews in West Seneca, Lakeside Cemetery in Hamburg, and many smaller cemeteries. Evergreen Lawn in Akron, Freedom Cemetery. We have a beautiful cemetery in Wyoming County. It is Forest Hill Cemetery, and it's in Attica, very historic space and place.
For more information and answers to your questions, contact Forest Lawn by calling 716-885-1600 or go to forest-lawn.com. Sponsorship and promotional considerations for the preceding segment was provided by the following.
Thanks for watching this edition of The Big Wack Presents Buffalo on the Rise. For information on this and other shows, go to our website, bigwack.com, and find out how you can participate on the program if you're a hometown business. I'm Joe Chili. Thanks for watching and listening to The Big Wack, Buffalo's oldie station.
The Big Wack Presents Buffalo on the Rise was sponsored by Dr. Kaplansky Dental Implants. Get new permanent teeth in 24 hours with our exclusive Teeth Now process.